Hello, I'm Holly Tarquini, Director of FilmBath, and welcome to the 2021 IMDb Script to Screen Award. This is the evening where we decide who will be taking home £5,000 cash, plus £1,000 worth of hire kit from Visual Impact, and of course a very treasured IMDb badge. I've got some quick thanks first of all. Let's say a huge thank you obviously to Col for supporting this award for 10 years. Col, you are amazing. I don't know what the film festival industry would do without you. Col is a fantastic champion of all things cinematic, so thank you very much. And thank you to Visual Impact, who are incredibly supportive of emerging filmmakers. Thanks to Valencia Haynes with this competition, you can, if you want to, submit your script to our script editor. She will read them and send feedback, and then you can submit the script after you've had your feedback. So thank you to her for sending feedback, and thanks to Philip Raby and the MA screenwriter students from Bath Spa University who helped whittle down 197 submissions to these top 5. Later on, we will be asking you to vote for your favourite film, because if the judges are undecided, then your vote can swing it, but obviously you can't vote until you've watched all the rehearsed read-throughs. So now I would like to welcome and introduce our judges. First of all, I would like to introduce you to Nicky Bentham. Nicky is an award-winning feature, drama and documentary producer. She has a huge number of credits, Nicky, and they include the sci-fi thriller Moon, The Silent Storm, which was executive produced by Barbara Broccoli, I'm a big fan, and the soon-to-be released The Duke, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. It's directed by Robert Mitchell and stars Jim Broadbent and Helen Mirren. And really significantly for this competition, Nicky was also between 2012 and 15, she was an executive producer on the BFI's short film scheme, so she has a real wealth of experience with short films. So welcome to you, Nicky. Thank you so much for being one of this year's judges.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's been a real honour, great fun to read the scripts and see the performances, and I'm sure lots of exciting deliberation to come this evening.
Thank you. And next, I'd like to introduce you to Ben Bond. So Ben began his career as an award-winning BBC Radio 1 producer, and he moved from there to commercials, though I think with always an eye to wanting to direct features. He wrote on programmes such as Skins, and he's recently written, produced and directed his debut feature film, The Drifters. And The Drifters was set in the Southwest, which for us at FilmBath is obviously always significant. So welcome to you, Ben. Thank you for coming along.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here and to have read all the brilliant scripts and such amazing diversity of voices and ideas, and yeah, it's been really inspiring to read them, and it's nice to be a local boy, man, and able to kind of offer up some hopefully some nice things to say about them all.
Finally, I'm sure you will. And lastly, as always, we've got, which isn't just the biggest film website in the world, it's one of the biggest websites in the world with 250 million unique viewers every year. And Col was described by The Guardian as the most powerful Brit in Hollywood. And he now sits on lots of juries of international film festivals and with us here in Bath. Col watches at least 2 feature films a day, but he doesn't like to know what a film's about before he starts.
It's a little bit crazy, given my professional role is to kind of like accumulate all of the knowledge about every film, every TV show, every short, every person, and put it conveniently in IMDb. But myself as an audience member, I'm kind of like, no, I don't want to know anything about this. The titles, the title is good enough, and I'll sit down and I'll watch something. And that's one of the things that, like, I love this at the FilmBath Festival later in the year, is I trust you and the team to curate like an amazing set of films. And I'm kind of like, we go through the brochure, and it's kind of like, it's more, what time is this on? Can we get to it? And then if we can, and we show up, and then the film begins, and the surprise of not knowing what you've got is a big thing for me. So especially big fan of the film festival environment from that perspective, because you don't, like, I've seen films at film festivals, and it's kind of like, it's like, oh, this is absolutely brilliant, and then the marketing comes out and they leak all of the key plot points. The best bits are in the trailer, the end is in the trailer, or whatever. And then I'm like thinking, oh no, the screenwriter probably crafted this really elegant reveal, and kind of like introduce the character here, and then there's a surprise turn. And kind of having that ruined by too much marketing. I always feel kind of sad about that.
Yeah, I always turn I watch the beginning bits of trailers. I watch the beginning, 20 seconds to get a feel of it, and then I know you don't watch them at all.
I only watch trailers after I've seen the film.
Yeah.
After I've seen the film.
Very sensible. Now, my favourite question of the week was on, I don't know if any of you are Wittertainment fans, but I think Simon Mayo is one of the best interviewers on the planet. And his question, which I'm going to ask you first, Nicky, is, he asked it of a director, but what kind of a producer are you? And I think it's really pertinent for a producer, because it can mean so many different things, can't it? And I think for audiences, it can be really difficult to understand what the role of a producer is. So can you lay out for us what it is that you do?
Yeah, sure. The role itself is hugely varied. I'd say in terms of what kind of producer I am, I'm very hands-on, because I think that when I first started out, I thought that success was kind of, having a huge office in a big company with a massive team and making loads and loads of films, like huge films. And when you kind of actually get into the process of making stuff, it's such hard work, and it takes, if you care about it, which I do, like, you pour so much of yourself into it. And what I've realized over time is that success for me means to just keep working on stories and with people that I think are brilliant. And if I can just keep doing that, even if it's from here, from my loft in my house, then the rest of it kind of really doesn't matter. And so I guess I'm probably, I'm a person that kind of I'm a producer that crafts everything I do by hand with a lot of love, and I'm kind of involved in the whole process from inception all the way through to the very end. And there's lots of, that's not the way that everybody works, and there's lots of different ways to make films. And in our lifetime, if you get to kind of keep doing this, if you're lucky enough to keep doing it, then that process will produce great films, and it will produce not such great films as well. And it's kind of, the journey is what it's all about, and sort of giving it your all every time.
Brilliant.
I think that kind of sums me up in terms of my approach to work, I think.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've yet to meet a producer that wasn't one of the hardest working people that I've come across. That seems to be a unanimous feature of producers. And Ben, so can you say what kind of a director are you?
Yeah, I think I can probably. It's very personal for me, directing. I make films that I want to see. which is not to say that I don't think about the audience, but I look at the landscape, I look at what's been before, and you know, I kind of try not to feel the weight of that, but obviously get inspired, and I'll go through periods of watching different genres and different directors, and they will often fire off ideas in my head, and then I'll go, I want to do something like that, but for me, an expression of myself. But you genuinely just want your film to be as close to the thing in your head as you started with, and kind of maybe the further you go down the track, hopefully, even though each time the process is fresh, you're a little bit more experienced in terms of translating that vision. So, you know, all of those things go into my makeup, and, you know, I think all the things that I've done before, especially music, play a really big part in kind of a personal expression that hopefully an audience will find a connection with on some level.
That's brilliant, thank you. And Col, I wanted to ask you what kind of a CEO you are.
What kind of a CEO am I? CEOs have a bad rap on film. So I'm very much like all that I can do is achieve through the team of people who are at IMDb. So it's kind of like sometimes, you know, I say I have to pinch myself because I just feel so lucky to be in the role that I have, and to have the customer engagement that we have with IMDb. So yeah, I'm kind of like I'm a cheerleader for an awesome team of people who do all the real work. I think is the best way to describe me.
Every time I see anything that's going on at IMDb, I want to work there, because you go out and watch films, and you do cool fun stuff, and you have film quizzes, and we've done a team quiz every Friday throughout lockdown, which we expected only to be for a few weeks. So we're now 16, 17 months in. So it's a good way. Film is a great unifier. So getting us all together to do a quiz on a weekly basis is kind of fun, and it's also nowhere near as kind of like serious as you might think. It's kind of like, what must a quiz at IMDb be like? It's kind of like, well, some people ask some questions, and some people get them right, and some people get them wrong, and we have fun. We have fun along the way. It looks great. And so, Nicky, when you are reading scripts, so you've read all the scripts for these, but you've also read a lot of scripts of short films. How quickly can you tell that you're in safe hands, that you're reading something good? What do you look out for in a short script?
I mean, I think that you can tell pretty quickly, and you have to be able to, you know, you have to be engaged really quickly. I mean, I think that, you know, even in feature films, like first pages are so important. And I guess, you know, perhaps in a short film, like the first scene is so important, because that's, if you're not sort of getting straight, you know, into the character and being pointed towards kind of what the meat of this story is going to be, then you're kind of, you know, you're expending energy and wasting time that you don't have. So I think starting kind of in the action, and starting, you know, and setting up the character, the key character or characters really strongly is probably the first thing that I'm looking for.
Brilliant, yeah. And how about you, Ben? What do you look for in a script, and what makes you think this person knows what they're doing?
Three things really. Confidence, which I can kind of tell on the page almost immediately if the writer is confident and makes me feel confident in the terms of the world that they're creating and the characters that they're presenting me with. And that as often will be stylistically on the page, because you haven't seen the movie at this point, so you're going on the writing, and that can be as much about style as anything else. Originality, I think you read an awful lot of scripts and you go, well, this is a perfectly serviceable writer and script, but why on earth would this be a subject for a film or a short film or anything else for that matter? Just to have that kind of freshness of an approach into something, and something that makes me think and feel in a way that is, that kind of challenges me to get involved. And then I suppose, lastly, atmosphere. I'm kind of big on atmosphere, especially when it comes to, genre, but it's just in general. I can quite easily read a script that doesn't have any plot whatsoever. I'm not saying that maybe you should do that, but if it's got a great atmosphere, it can carry me a pretty long way. And that shows me that a writer really is thinking visually about the mise en scène. That kind of they know the world that they're in. They're actually inhabiting it. So that, and I think Nicky's point about coming in with a start with a first few pages that really grab you and kind of compel you to read, because you're reading a lot in this business. You're reading all the time, and that's competing with your time for your family, for your own projects, for other stuff. So you really need to kind of merit that attention and kind of bring your A game, however that manifests itself, onto the page. And also, finally, I'll say, like, you can afford to be a little bit loose sometimes. You don't have to kind of wrap everything, polish things so that they become kind of brittle. Like, sometimes I'll really appreciate it when a writer has, I can just feel a flow and a rawness. So, sometimes that gets developed or massaged out of scripts. And so it's a measure of experience, being able to know when you can be a bit free within the format. So yeah, those things are all things that would kind of speak to me personally. But I think there are as many different readers as there are scripts, probably. So
yeah, and so much is to do with personal taste. Of if your script's a bit feminist, I'm going to like it more than one that is. For example.
Me too.
Are we all? And how about you, Col? Is there anything?
Well, this has been a very nice summary so far. So trying to add something new. I look for kind of like the journey from A to B. And sometimes the journey from A to B, B can be kind of like a little bit like A. So I have kind of a slightly different approach, in that I'm always intrigued as to where something is going. And so I'm kind of like waiting to see where it lands, and so I never make up my mind until we've got to the end. There's a great quote from, it's a character played by Katharine Hepburn in the Philadelphia Story, and she says, so her character says, the time to make up your mind about anyone is never. and so I kind of like do that when I'm reading the script, even if it's kind of like, okay, we're okay, we're off, we're okay, yeah, and it's when we get to the end where did we land at the end is a big thing for me. So I have this thing. I've never walked out of a movie. I've never stopped watching a film once I've started watching it. And I've had some. I'm not going to name any names. I've had some good experiences with that, and it's kind of like, well, I was not expecting that to end as well as you might have. The beginning may have telegraphed that. Sometimes I am disappointed. Should have given up on that one, but there you go. The time to make up your mind about anybody is never.
Well, I hope none of you stop listening to the scripts halfway through. I'm sure that you won't. I wish we had more time to talk to our judges, but we need to get on and hear our scripts. Before we do that, we're asking everybody to vote using the form below, and my colleague Sophie is going to count them before we come back so that we will know what the audience has voted for. We're about to meet our 5 finalists and hear the script read-throughs from the students at Bath University. Just before we do, I should warn you that these scripts, especially the first one, have very adult themes. So we're going to meet our first finalist now. The first script that we're going to hear today is written by Gabriela Staniszewska, who's written Choose Your Weapon. Welcome, Gabriela, and tell me, whereabouts are you in your writing life? Is this your first script, your 15th? Tell me a bit about it.
Choose Your Weapon is about the 5th short script that I've written in my life, and it was written after the birth of my daughter when I suffered some pretty serious postnatal anxiety, and I discovered a technique that I could use myself, channeled it into a script, and the rest is history. But yes, it's about the 4th or 5th that I've been that I've worked on.
Thank you very much, that's great. Now we're going to hear the Bath Spa actors read Gabriela Staniszewska's script, Choose Your Weapon.
Choose Your Weapon by Gabriela Staniszewska. Sound fades in slowly. A baby laughs hysterically. Someone is blowing raspberries and making her laugh. Interior, living room, morning. It is Mummy who's making her laugh, making funny faces and silly noises. Daddy enters.
You should take her out today. It's a nice day.
We crash zoom in on Mummy as her face grows ashen.
Just to get some air, you know? You've both been a bit cooped up since Christmas.
Mummy looks wan, but carries on shaking a rat off a baby. Baby laughs. We see what's on Mummy's mind.
Exterior streets, day, Mummy's imagination. Mummy maneuvers the baby buggy up their front steps onto the pavement and turns to close the gate behind her. A truck smashes into the baby buggy behind her. She turns. It is gone.
Interior, living room, morning. Mummy takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly, trying to control her anxiety. She makes a face at Baby. Baby laughs, and Daddy smiles at her adoringly.
It's just, I don't think the weather.
Exterior driveway, day, Mummy's imagination. Mummy places Baby's carrier next to the back wheel of the car as she folds the pram away. She closes the boot and throws the baby bag on the front seat. Throwing the car into reverse hard, the car bumps over something large. The horror on her face as she realizes.
Interior, living room, morning. Mummy blinks away the thought, blowing a half-hearted raspberry at Baby. Mummy is fighting these thoughts hard now, and Baby has stopped laughing. Mummy huffs with frustration.
It's just such a faff. What with the pram and the nappy bag and the milk? What if she gets hungry?
You feed her?
What if she won't take the formula?
Interior supermarket cafe. Day. Mummy's imagination. Baby screams loudly. Judging glances, people with their fingers in their ears. People leave the cafe.
Interior, living room, morning.
Then breastfeed her.
Interior supermarket cafe. Day. Mummy's imagination. Mummy breastfeeds Baby, who is quiet and content. She looks up to see a wall of dirty, tramp-like men staring at her, wanking. One of the men climaxes. Mummy and Baby are splattered with cum. Interior doctor's office, day. Mummy's imagination. Mummy jiggles baby in her arms, fretful as hell. Baby cries.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Badmother. Your baby has syphilis.
We crash in on Mummy's horrified face.
Interior, living room, morning.
There are weirdos, though, and they always make a beeline for me.
Babe, you need to get out of the house. Both of you.
Mummy has stopped playing. She knows he's right. Daddy notices and bends down to her.
Are you still having those invasive thoughts?
Exterior railway path, day. Mummy's imagination. Mummy carries baby in a carrier strapped to her front. A man on a bike rides up to them both. Skidding to a stop, he takes out a large kitchen knife and stabs her. The knife has gone into baby and not harmed Mummy at all.
Interior, living room, morning. Mummy looks up at Daddy, her eyes wide and Bambi-like on the verge of tears. She is terrified. He holds her hand kindly and her eyes drop to the floor. Ashamed. She knows he's right, but she just can't shake her fears.
Can't we just go in the garden?
He kisses her hand and strokes her face gently. They share a long, tender silence.
Look, we need some milk and some more nappies. Just go up the railway path to the supermarket.
Mummy exhales shakily. She looks at baby anxiously, then up at Daddy, smiling at her encouragingly. She closes her eyes.
Exterior time-lapse, Mummy's imagination. Very fast mapping of the routes, along the road and up the railway path to the supermarket. Not far at all.
Interior, living room, morning. Mummy takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly. She nods to Daddy. She'll do it. He smiles.
Exterior, house, morning. Mummy is leaving the house with the pram. She's nervous. Baby giggles happily in the pram. Daddy is by the door waving them goodbye. With one deep breath, off they go.
Whoa, whoa!
A car speeds by just as they were about to cross the road. Mummy looks fearfully back at him. He waves her onward, a little more nervous himself now. Exterior, railway path, morning. The birds are singing, the leaves are green. It's a beautiful sunny day. Baby is looking about, happily, interested in the world. Suddenly, a man on a bike rides towards them. It's the man who stabbed baby in her nightmare vision. Mummy begins to panic. She's having an anxiety attack. Her breathing rapid, her heart pounding in her ears. The man is getting closer. He's slowing down. He's definitely going to attack them. The biker slows down to a stop, just as Mummy's vision begins to blur. Unseen hands and a gentle voice help her to sit down on a bench. Biker off screen.
Is she okay?
Badass mum off screen.
I think she just needs to sit down.
Biker off screen.
Do you want me to call someone?
Mummy regains her senses and her vision clears. She shakes her head. Sitting down next to her on the bench is the badass mum, her toddler going to town on an iced lolly in the pram park next to her.
You're sure? It's no bother.
He smiles broadly. He's nice. Mummy smiles back weakly and shakes her head.
Thank you, though.
No worries.
Biker to badass mum.
Are you okay here?
The badass mum nods and the biker rides off. Mummy and the badass mum sit listening to the birds for a moment. The badass mum hands Mummy a juice box and as she rocks baby's pram back and forth, finally peeking inside.
He's asleep.
Mummy nods and sucks hard on her juice, soaking in the sugar.
Are you feeling any better?
Mummy nods and smiles weakly. The badass mum seems very at ease with herself, relaxing onto the bench, taking in the air around them and the sounds of the birds tweeting.
Thank you.
Okay, talk to me.
Mummy sits silently. Badass mum persists. Mummy looks at the toddler, now asleep too, sated and covered in iced lolly juice.
Go on. Well, you've got 5 minutes. You might as well.
Music covers the litany of horrible, invasive thoughts that Mummy unloads from her brain. We do not hear them, but watch as badass mum takes it all in her stride. Nodding sagely in response, she listens closely until Mummy is finished.
An imagination is a terrible thing to waste.
A beat. Mummy looks up, confused.
It seems like you can either let it work for you or against you.
What do you mean?
Badass Mum looks lovingly at her sticky, sleeping toddler.
When I had Lorelei, I kept having this horrible nightmare that a fox was going to steal her in the night, come through a window, through the drains, or even through the floorboards.
The Badass Mum has Mummy's undivided attention.
I was so terrified. I wouldn't let anyone open any windows in the house for weeks during that heat wave. Then a friend of mine told me a secret. When you're in the nightmare, grab a weapon.
This hangs in the air for a moment. It seems weak, a disappointment. Mummy is clearly downcast.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
It's not.
That's what I said. Watch.
Suddenly, a van screeches to a halt on the road that bisects the path. A dodgy-looking kidnapper jumps out and heads straight for Lorelei, grinning greedily at the sleeping toddler. His accomplice opens the back doors of the van while the driver keeps the engine running. The kidnapper grabs Lorelei's pram and speeds her towards the waiting van. Cool as a cucumber, Badass Mum reaches behind her and pulls out a crossbow from her backpack. She shoots the kidnapper in the back as he falls to the floor, stone dead. The van's gears grind loudly as the driver fails to get it going. She takes out another bolt, laces it with something from a baby bottle, and shoots the van. It explodes off screen. Mummy is stunned. Badass Mum saunters over to the pram and returns it to its original position. Lorelei is still out for the count. Suddenly, the accomplice springs from the wreckage and runs away, screaming down the path. Badass Mum takes out one last bolt and with perfect aim, takes him out from a great distance.
But that's ridiculous. Why would you ever have a crossbow in your backpack?
Why would anyone try to kidnap your baby?
Mummy is speechless and has no retort. Badass Mum gets up to leave.
It's the fear that's ridiculous. I speak from experience. It will take you down if you let it. So meet it, head on. Choose your weapon.
The flames of the still burning van reflect in Mummy's eyes as she realizes the possibilities.
Interior, nursery, night. Mummy breastfeeds in near darkness. The nightlight next to her provides a small but comforting glow. She rocks back and forth in the nursing chair. Baby is feeding. As Mummy's eyes grow heavy, her visions begin again.
Exterior, various locations, Mummy's imagination. The truck hitting the pram, the man brandishing a huge knife, dirty men leering, the kidnapper's van pulling up. Threats everywhere.
Interior, nursery, night. Her eyes snap open. She's shaking and steadies herself by taking a deep breath.
Choose your weapon.
Exterior house, day. Mummy's imagination. She steps down in front of the truck, pulls out a rocket launcher from under the pram and shoots. She hits the truck dead on, and in slow motion, she follows it as it flies over their heads, casting its huge shadow over them both. It crashes behind them. Off screen, baby coos to herself happily in the pram. The truck explodes off screen. A look of power crosses Mummy's face.
Interior, nursery, night. Mummy opens her eyes. That was exhilarating. She closes them again.
Interior supermarket cafe. Day. Mummy's imagination. A dirty man touches himself whilst leering at her breastfeeding her baby.
Stop doing that.
The dirty man grins and continues to masturbate.
Oh, what?
She rolls her eyes and with her free hand, she reaches into the nappy bag and pulls out a tomahawk. She lobs it towards the dirty man. He screams off screen. He shakes and sobs as in his bloodied hand he holds his own severed penis. Baby fusses and Mummy relatches her.
Not so cocky now.
Interior, nursery, night. Mama is elated. Tears of relief prick at her eyes as she realizes the power she has over her own thoughts. She swabs boobies and relatches baby, then closes her eyes once again.
Exterior railway path, day. Mummy's imagination. Mummy and Baby walk down the railway path, Baby strapped to her front in a carrier. The biker appears in the far distance and Mummy freezes. She knows what's coming. There is no one else on the path but Mummy, Baby, and the biker getting closer and closer. Still some distance away, he's already brandishing the huge knife and laughing maniacally. Mummy is terrified and her breathing becomes more and more intense as she is frozen to the spot. Babies squeak and she breaks out of her trance. Ripping off her backpack, she searches desperately for a weapon, but there are only nappies and baby bottles and wipes and muslin cloths. Not a weapon in sight. Closer now, the biker has thrown his bike to the floor and is careening toward them with the knife over his head, screaming maniacally. Suddenly, a grandma in her 70s steps out of a bush brandishing a baseball bat.
Mum?
Daddy jumps out of another bush with a crowbar.
Darling.
Mummy's sister Emily steps out of the path brandishing a huge machete.
The
three of them begin to stalk threateningly towards the approaching crazy biker. Just before he reaches the group, Mummy's friend Nick appears with her own baby strapped to her and swings a pickaxe into the biker's chest. He stops in his tracks and spits blood.
Nick?
They all pile on as Mummy watches in astonishment, clutching a muslin cloth uselessly in her fist. They beat him to a pulp off screen. Finally, spent and bloodied, Emily walks up to her and uses the muslin to clean her machete. Out of breath with the effort, she nods to Mummy.
How did you...
I've known you long enough to see when you need help.
But...
Grandma joins them, wiping blood from her face.
You can always come to me, sweetie.
Mummy is taking it all in. Their love, their support, their friendship. Nick joins them and puts her hand on Mummy's shoulder.
This is the reason you have a support network. It's what we're for.
Mummy smiles gratefully. Daddy joins them, kissing cooing Baby on the head. Mummy looks at him lovingly, tears in her eyes. She kisses him hard on the lips and the whole group walks away together as the body of the crazy biker lies twitching on the asphalt.
Interior, nursery, night. A very light knock on the door lets in a tiny chink of light. Daddy pops his head through.
Everything okay, honey?
She looks at him meaningfully, her mouth widening to a smile.
Yes, baby. Yes, it really is. Thank you for asking.
The end.
That was great, thank you. Our next writer is Paul Mackay. Paul, tell me, how did you get to this point?
Okay, I have been writing since as soon as I could actually hold a pen. Writing for short stories, writing comics for my friends to enjoy and sometimes not enjoy. I then got into film and had a Super 8 cine camera when I was a teenager. I used to round up my friends to make films. Since leaving school, I've actually had work produced for theatre in and around South Wales, and also had 2 short films made for TV, which have been shown on BBC Two.
Fantastic, thank you very much. So now we're going to hear the Bath Spa actors read through Paul Mackay's script, Road to Hell.
The Road to Hell by Paul Mackay. Interior, exterior, motorway, car, day. A humongous traffic jam. End-to-end cars, vans, lorries, and not one moving. We zoom into one car, sandwiched between all the others. Inside this, Nick, 35, and her passenger, Emma, mid-20s, androgynous. Nick looks ahead expectantly. Emma seems to be quite enjoying the experience, finding delight in simple cloud formations, flock of birds, and patterns on the tarmac. Emma flicks on the radio. Chris Rare's Road to Hell plays.
Ooh, I love this one.
She starts bopping along and singing. Nick snaps it off.
Oh, I was enjoying that.
Well, I wasn't.
They sit in silence for a few more moments until...
It's been hours. And we've moved, what, 10 feet?
Don't think it's even been that. Anyway, don't be such a negative Nelly. We're nearly there.
Might as well be 1,000 miles away. I'd be there by now if I got out and walked.
And miss out on all the fun? I've simply had the best time stuck here, haven't you? I'd never thought a traffic jam could be so exhilaratingly testing.
Nick gives her a withering look. Is she serious? Shouting to other cars.
What are all of you doing? Oh, let's all have a little drive on the motorway for no reason at all. Well, now look where we are.
Suppose they could ask you the same thing.
That's different. My journey's important, Emma.
It's Enma, but okay.
I mean, what's that one doing? They're obviously retired. Why are they on the motorway in the middle of rush hour? Is there a bowls match at the services?
Maybe they're visiting relatives.
And him, clearly a drug dealer.
How do you know?
He looks about 17, is wearing a baseball cap backwards, and is driving a brand new 7 Series Beamer.
The driver.
It's not even midday yet. Why are you up?
Enma considers this for a moment. Enma switches on the radio again. Highway to Hell plays. Again, Enma sings along really badly. Nick switches it off again.
If you turn that on again, I'll rip out the radio and stuff it right up your reception area. Your arse!
Enma pulls a handbag space. Bit extreme. They both sit in silence. Nick grips the steering wheel tightly, tense, but not in control of the situation. Staring straight ahead, willing traffic to move. Enma is relaxed and enjoys the peace and quiet. She thinks, and then...
If olive oil is made from olives and vegetable oil is made from vegetables, what's baby oil made from?
Nick rolls her eyes and turns away. A beat as Enma thinks some more.
What's the most annoying sound you can make?
Enma thinks on this, and then she makes a really annoying noise.
That's mine. Hurts the throat a little.
Enma makes the noise again and again. Nick tensing every time. Eventually...
Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut the fuck up.
Enma silenced. A long beat and...
I'm sensing there's a teeny little bit of tension in the car right now.
I just want to get there. Is that too much to ask, Emma?
What's the rush? Seriously, you seem to be dying to get there. Dying to get there. Get it? And it's still Enma, by the way.
Nick flashes then. Are you serious, Luke?
I just want to move. Just a little bit. A foot. An inch. Half an inch. Anything. But no. We just sit here and wait. And wait. And nothing ever moves.
Nick closes her eyes and prays.
Please start moving. Please. I'll do anything.
Nick waits, hands still locked in prayer. An engine rumbles. She opens one eye.
They're starting up.
Looking ahead.
Wait. Why is his reversing lights on?
Nick shouting to the driver in front.
What are you doing? You can't go back. There's nowhere to go.
He checks behind her.
There's no room.
Realizing there's nothing she can do, she starts the car up and puts it into reverse. The driver behind furiously honks their horn. Nick to the driver behind.
Don't honk me, honk him.
He reverses ever so slightly before coming to a stop, then to the car in front.
Happy now? You've gone half an inch backwards. Hope it was worth it.
Well, you got what you wanted.
What?
We moved a little bit. Your prayer must have worked.
Not backwards. I'm even further away now than I was.
What's an inch or two, or a minute here or there?
A lot, if you've somewhere to be.
No better place to be than right here.
I can think of a million other better places.
It's only time, though. Not life and death, is it?
Nick flashes then. Are you kidding, Luke? They resolve to sit in silence some more, both meditating on the situation.
And why are you here? Why did you come along for the ride? I say ride, I mean sit.
You know why, Nick.
Nick shouting to other cars.
Come on, move! Move! It's been days!
He slams her hand on her horn. Honk! Others' car respond.
Whatever it is must have cleared by now. Bet it was some stupid muppet tailgating someone. Or worse, an accident on the other carriageway which everyone's rubbernecking. Idiots should be banned from driving.
That's not very Christian of you. Anyway, you know that kind of thing doesn't happen here, don't you?
I'll hurt them if I ever get hold of them.
You're quite an angry person, aren't you? Perhaps if we try some breathing exercises, you know, to counteract the negative energy.
My anger does not need to be negated.
Are you quite sure? Do you need a hug?
Enma reaches out and Nick very aggressively bats her away.
Don't touch me.
Realization dawns on Nick. She slowly crumples into the steering wheel.
I just want to get there. That's all. On time. Just to be on time.
Nick turns to Enma.
Can I go? I'm a good person, aren't I?
Saying it doesn't make it true.
It's as if Nick has just woken up.
It was one single stupid mistake. I'm allowed that, aren't I?
I could make a list, and it would be a long one, but that was a real biggie. Where do you think you're going?
No one's perfect.
Ah, but you're only being measured by the standards you set for others.
Like what?
You're judgy, have an absolutely huge superiority complex, and no one gets in your way.
This isn't fair.
How much time did you save? How much did they lose? Her parents, her boyfriend Reese. He was planning to propose on Valentine's Day, had bought a ring and everything.
Nick breaks down.
I'm sorry, Emna. I'm sorry. Please, can we just get there?
Finally, you got my name right for once. But if only you'd stopped, called an ambulance. But no, you just couldn't be late, could you? You could have saved her, but you didn't, so here you are.
I couldn't sleep after that. I just wanted to sleep. So I...
What? So you felt guilty?
I'm sorry. I'd do anything to change this. Anything, please.
Nick quietly sobs as Enma looks on. She melts ever so slightly.
You're sorry?
Yes.
A beat as Enma considers.
If only you'd said that earlier. That's okay then. You can go.
Really?
Nah.
Nick rattles the door handles. Locked!
Let me out, you fucking psycho!
I should point out that any physical or verbal threats to our staff, i.e. me, will not be tolerated. It's clearly marked on the signage.
Nick now realizes that she's trapped for all eternity. All hope lost, she sinks into her seat. When she speaks again, it's very much a defeated whisper.
So I'm not going to get there. Am I?
Enma looks out the window.
You're already at your destination, but I don't think it was what you're expecting. How about a game of I Spy? We've plenty of time.
We zoom out of the car and see the miles and miles of traffic jam, stretching forever into the distance. Enma off camera.
I spy with my little eye something beginning with H.
Fade to black. The end.
Thank you very much. Our next writer is Maureen Hansch. Maureen, can you, obviously with no spoilers, tell me how you got to this point and a bit about writing this script?
Yeah, thank you, Holly. I'm a recently new writer. I started off having a midlife crisis and wanting an undergraduate degree before my children, and ended up failing at that and doing a master's in creative writing. And that led me to script writing. And I started doing an advanced script writing course at the RHACC. And that was when I felt like I had found what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I've been writing scripts now of all types for about 4 years and had a little bit of a success with a couple of plays. And I've written a few features, but this was my first short. So I'm really excited about the idea of actually managing to produce something from what I've written. So
fantastic. Well, very best of luck. So now we're going to hear the students read through Maureen Hansch's script, Baby Crispr.
Baby Crispr by Maureen Hansch. In the very near future, fade in my baby lullaby. Exterior, business park, day. A van with distinctive stalk logo leaves an industrial estate.
Exterior, adjacent derelict street, day. A young woman pushes a tatty stroller down the street, dragging snotty-faced toddlers behind her. The van flashes by.
Exterior, city parkland, day. A heron stands like a statue in the ornamental lake. A yummy mummy walks arm in arm with a dishy daddy, pushing a state-of-the-art stroller. The van flashes past through the trees.
Exterior, Noah and Riley's first floor flat, day. The van parks up. My baby fades out.
Interior, van driver's cabin. Same time. The van driver composes her face into a beneficent smile. She puts on gloves and a nurse's hat. We can hear a faint mewling sound.
Exterior, Noah and Riley's first floor flat, day. Noah and Riley waits by the front door, excited. The driver is measured and takes her time opening the van door and retrieves a crib enclosed in a zipped up cover. It has the Stork logo on it. With the care of a royal page, she carries it up the steps and into the flat.
Interior, Noah and Riley's first floor flat, day. Noah, Riley, and the driver signed paperwork. They keep glancing at the crib set up on a stand with the Stork logo. Under the logo is the word Crispr Babies Inc. Riley spots the driver has a tattoo on her cleavage for a slight gap in her uniform.
Exterior, doorway flat, day. Noah shows the driver out. She hands him a glossy brochure.
Interior, Noah and Riley's first floor flat, day. Riley and Noah stand over the crib. This is the big reveal. Both are emotional. Slowly, Riley begins to unzip the crib. They lean in with anticipation, but Riley's face registers shock and horror. She immediately zips the crib back up. Noah knows something is wrong, but is not sure what.
The
eyes, they're wrong.
Noah is in shock.
I'm going to call them. Number?
Noah is simply staring at Riley.
Noah, number.
Noah jumps to it and flicks through the brochure.
06443 262 666.
Riley dials it, but can't get a signal. She leaves the room. Riley off screen.
Hello, this is Riley Johnson. Order number 54873. I've just taken delivery. No, please do not congratulate me.
A mewing sound comes from the crib. Noah freezes. He tentatively approaches the crib, wide-eyed at the tiny noise. He hears Riley coming back and retreats to the sofa, defending himself with the brochure.
They said it's exactly what we ordered. No returns, no refunds.
Did you...
Riley shoots a look of contempt. He holds the brochure like a bulletproof vest, but then starts to flick through it.
Em is going to just love this. All her au natural bullshit.
Oh, she won't.
She's got 3 gen-neutral kids with asthma and God knows what else. Our taxes pay for her kids' inhalers.
Noah's looking through the brochure, ignoring Riley's rant.
We might be able to get a parts replacement.
What?
It says here.
What?
Due to care taken with ordering procedure. Oh, wait, that's not it.
Oh, my God.
Here. If a fault is found, it can be replaced.
That's it. We can replace them.
Its eyes aren't faulty.
It's their fault. They must know that that eye colour with that skin tone, it's just wrong. How could they let me order it?
Well, the eyes are fit for purpose, but...
But what?
theoretically, the eyes could have arrived damaged. We could say...
Riley gets where he's going with this, but she sees a problem.
But what if they replaced them with the exact same colour?
Well, that's where your powers of persuasion come in.
Yes, I'm on it.
Riley dials again, but as usual, she can't get a signal. Meaning the phone, she says.
You have to get this shit sorted out, Noah.
She stomps out. From off screen.
Hello there, it's Riley Johnson, order number 54873. I have a question.
Noah stares at the crib. He listens but can't hear anything. Slowly, he makes his way over and starts to unzip the crib to have another peek when Karen, Riley's mum, bursts in.
Oh, I couldn't get parked. Oh my God, is he here already? Oh! Where is Riley? What's the matter? Noah, what is it?
The baby is not what we ordered. It's not gone according to plan.
Karen is horrified.
I mean, the baby is fine, but...
What is it?
Riley's not happy.
What is it?
Noah is hard-pressed to explain. Riley crashes back into the room.
Oh, Mum!
Darling, I can't believe this.
They embrace.
What did they say?
They said that if the eyes needed replacing, we can request another colour, but we have to prove the eyes are faulty.
Interior. Noah and Riley's first floor flat. Day. There are half-drunk cups of coffee on the coffee table. Everyone looks glum. Riley gets up and looks out the window.
Did you notice the hatcher?
Who?
The hatcher. The delivery person who brought the baby.
What are they called?
Hatcher.
What about her?
Little tattoo.
Points to her own breast.
So?
So, she's the sort of person that has a tattoo there. I mean, the uniform makes her look like she's... I bet they're not even properly trained. I mean, if they accidentally dropped something in the baby's eye...
Like?
I don't know. They might have cleaning stuff in their vans, like bleach.
No.
Oh my God. This was meant to be the best day of my life, and now it's like our fucking wedding.
What was wrong with our wedding?
Noah!
Ties.
They were dove grey.
They were pewter.
I was happy.
You're always happy. Dove grey, pewter, who cares?
Oh, you can't always be perfect. That baby is our imperfect genetic material.
We paid for perfect. That's the point. That baby will be 2 inches taller than you, and its skin tone will be 2 shades darker.
Because you wanted him to play summer sports.
Riley stops herself.
Yes.
Oh, you want my skin 2 shades darker. I'm the problem, not the baby. It's got your eyes.
But my eyes don't go with your skin colour.
It's not my fucking skin colour.
Riley is not used to Noah losing his temper. There is a very awkward silence. Karen is uncomfortable.
You have to make a decision about this baby. Maybe donate it.
Are you going to give us the money for another? No, because you give every penny to Em to help with her defective little shits.
Riley has overstepped the mark, and Karen is not about to take it.
My grandchildren are not defective.
You know that in 15 years, Em's gen-neutral kids won't be able to even breed with gen-rich kids.
Why would your kids breed with M's?
Riley's phone rings.
It's Crispr.
Riley leaves the room to answer. From off screen.
Hello?
Noah and Karen say nothing, but slowly they walk towards the crib. With Noah's silent permission, Karen slowly unzips the crib. We don't see the baby, but we see their reaction.
His eyes are arresting. Like Riley's.
Karen agrees with him. They both think this baby is perfect. Riley comes back into the room, all the stuffing taken out of her. She's in shock.
Darling?
Honey, what is it?
Crispr say that when parents express this much dissatisfaction with a product, they withdraw it.
What does that mean?
They're sending the hatcher back to retrieve him. They say that in their experience, dissatisfied parents have been known to disfigure the baby.
What? Who would do that?
What happens to your baby?
They couldn't say.
No, they have to say.
They wouldn't say. The contract says we have no...
There is a mewling sound. The baby is crying, but the sound is so slight.
Right.
They said no returns.
It's a recall.
Noah, Riley and Karen all gather around the crib. Karen reaches in and takes the baby. She hands it to Riley, who is at first reluctant to take it. But as soon as she has it in her arms, she melts and almost collapses into the sofa holding the baby. The baby starts crying and makes a sucking sound. Riley instinctively nuzzles the baby. They all jump at the sound of the doorbell. Noah looks out the window.
Exterior, Noah and Riley's first floor flat, day. The hatcher is at the door waiting. Her face composed altogether differently. She looks intimidating, like a debt collector. Her tunic is open, and up and close we see her tattoo is the stork logo. She bangs on the door. She keeps banging. Fade in my baby lullaby.
That was great, thank you very much. Our next writer is Theo Toksvig-Stewart. So, Theo, where are you at in your writing journey?
So I am an actor and a writer. I trained as an actor originally and have been writing for the last couple of years. I've been writing across predominantly theatre, radio and audio stuff. But as you can see, trying to move my way into film and TV. I actually wrote Odd Socks a couple of years ago, just after I had written and performed in a very serious play and just wanted to laugh, really. And I've always loved comedy that is satirical and pokes fun at popular culture tropes and stuff like that. And so in that sense, writing a spoof of a police procedural felt like the only option, really, because they become so dark and so broody that they've almost become parodies of themselves, really. And they're all written and set in parallel universes where no one has evolved to laugh yet. So yeah, just want to try and make some people laugh. In the film, just like to clarify, because it's a bit confusing, there's half of the characters are humans and half are sock monsters, which kind of like this. Yeah, they're a bit strange and a bit weird. And yeah, some weird Muppet nightmare stuff. But as you can see, when you listen to the film there, they are a very Sesame Street level metaphor for underlying the silliness. Yeah, hope you enjoy.
I love your sock monsters. So if we can imagine in the next read through that some of these students are in fact sock monsters. This is Theo Toksvig-Stewart and this is Odd Socks.
Odd Socks by Theo Toksvig-Stewart. Exterior, Downs, day. A hilltop on a cloudy day. We can see a figure in a yellow Mac in the distance. McGuinn, voiceover.
The jig is up.
Exterior, Downs, continuous. Now close from behind the Mac-wearing figure, overlooking the sweeping view. God, it's atmospheric. McGuinn, voiceover.
You thought it was the perfect crime.
Exterior, crime scene, woods, day. A dark and broody wood. The yellow Mac figure walks up to something in slow motion. We look from the ground up into his face as he approaches. We see he looks disgusted. What is he looking at? McGuinn, voiceover.
But you underestimated us.
Interior, interrogation room, day. A police interrogation room with glass walls. We're close on a pictured covered table. We track up the pictures, but can't yet see what they depict. McGuinn off screen.
Isn't that right, Mr. Bang?
We pull back sharply to reveal who's being interrogated. It is a sock monster. Bang. Erratic, shifty, aggressive. We stay on Bang. McGuinn off screen.
So, why don't we talk about the last time you saw Vicky Tim?
I don't have to say anything to you, fleshy.
The camera flips to the other side of the table to reveal the yellow Mac wearing McGuinn. Broody, old beyond his years. He sits back in his chair, putting a cigarette in his mouth.
The name's Detective Police Officer Man Person McGuinn to you.
McGuinn lights his cigarette and takes a drag.
And I can make your life very difficult.
McGuinn eyes Bang. McBride, sock monster, earnest, hardworking, and decisively good at her job, leans over to McGuinn.
You can't actually smoke in here.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
McGuinn stubs out the cigarette.
So come on, Mr. Bang. Why don't you...
Just Bang, all right. Mister was my mother.
We have witnesses who heard you arguing with Vicky the night of the murder.
Let's just jump to the part where you break down and in an emotional monologue give us all the exposition we need to put you away.
You don't understand. I love her.
McGuinn slamming his hands on the pictures.
Is that what you do to someone you love?
Cut to the pictures on the table. Each shot reveals one of the photos depicting the abhorrent nature of the crime. Vicky Tim, sock monster, has been viciously ripped apart. Fluff dangles from branches, limbs strewn all over the place. A cold stare from Bang.
I want a lawyer.
Exterior, interrogation room, day. McGuinn and McBride stand outside the interrogation room. They look at Bang, who sits inside alone.
I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
You could probably throw him quite far.
McSheen, always wearing a full forensic suit and mask, approaches.
You got something for me?
A yum-yum?
McGuinn takes a huge bite of the sugary snack.
What do we know?
The inventor of the Frisbee was cremated and made into one after he died.
Okay. And what do we know about the scene?
Victim was found by a pair of doggers this morning.
Any leads?
They took them with them. Not much to go off.
Exterior, crime scene, day, flashback. Snap to McGuinn walking through the woods, analysing parts of sock and fluff hanging from trees and on the ground, poking them with a stick. This is the most horrific crime scene he has ever witnessed. McSheen, voiceover.
Estimated time of death between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. last night. Multiple threading. Soft fluff damage. No evidence of darning.
Cut to exterior, interrogation room, day.
My opinion, got to be a sock job.
You literally just said there's nothing to go off.
From off screen.
McGuinn!
McCarmy approaches, the inspector. A short woman who speaks with a thick New York accent. She is all over the place all of the time.
I just got off the phone with that little rag's lawyer. Bang's threatening to sue.
Sue? Who's Sue?
Lovely woman from accounting. Very sweet. A little stuck up, but nice.
We've got nothing to go on. No sock prints or cotton fibers at the scene.
Jesus, you guys are so negative. Look, McGuinn, you're my best detective. At least that's what somebody told me. Get some dirt on that sock. I mean, personally, I couldn't give a damn. A sock's a sock, you know. Put him back in the drawer for all I care.
It's too soon. In my experience, it takes 3 or 4 suspects. And when you've been working the case for around 50 minutes, you realize it wasn't any of them. It was someone you met briefly who made an offhand comment that in a series of flashbacks reveals them to be the true killer.
This is a short.
Beat. Look.
We haven't much time.
Interior, interrogation room, day. Bang, McGuinn, McBride, and Sue, confident, desperate to be in a courtroom drama, sit around the table. McCarmy watches from outside. McGuinn turns on a tape recorder.
Detective Police Officer Man-Person McGuinn and Detective Police Officer Sock Monster McBride. Interview of inherently guilty sock monster Bang in the presence of accountant turned lawyer Sue.
Objection! Implication of guilt. I move it to strike from the record.
For the tape, you can't strike things from an interview.
For the tape, I table a motion of no confidence in the prosecution.
For the tape, I have no idea what you just said.
Well, for the tape, you look like a butt.
For the tape, I do not look like a butt. And for the tape should show that Sue is being very mean.
For the tape, you started it.
For the tape, I did not.
For the tape, yellow doesn't work on you.
McGuinn shuts the tape recorder off in frustration. He stands up and turns around facing McCarmy. She went too far.
I'd like to draw your attention to item B-2A537-CO2X-Lol-winkyface-kite-aubergine-hashtag-YOLO. This is a text sent from you to a certain Bang on the night of Vickyton's death stating, "Oh man, I can't stand her anymore. Tonight's the night."
Slides a copy of the text over to Bang.
Okay, I'll tell you everything I know.
Cut to exterior, interrogation room, continuous. We're wide into the interrogation room through the glass walls. We hear the action inside.
Vicky was involved in something, all right. I tried to get her to stop, but she was in too deep inside. Bang and bong.
McGuinn opens the door and leaves the interrogation room. When the door shuts, we lose all audio from the inside, but we can hear Bang keeps talking. McGuinn leisurely fills up a plastic cup from the water tank next to the room. The water bubbles up. He takes a sip, noticing Mackay facing the glass. McGuinn to Mackay.
What are you doing?
Two-way mirror. They can't see me.
McGuinn nods, finishes his drink. He scrunches up the cup and throws it out of shot. There is an almighty crash and sounds of chaos off screen. Car horns, alarms, sirens, screaming, you name it. Just before McGuinn opens the door, someone hands him a file. He reads what's inside. Something's not right.
Cut to exterior, crime scene woods, day, flashback. Voices echo around McGuinn's head as we intercut shots of him at the crime scene. He runs through the forest. Is he chasing someone? He struggles through a thick bush. He examines the crime scene again. He looks lost. Where to go? McSteen, voiceover.
Got to be a sock job.
Mackay, voiceover.
Get some dirt on that sock.
McBride, voiceover.
This is a short.
Sue, voiceover.
Yellow doesn't work on you.
Bang, voiceover.
Bang and bong.
The noise of the voices builds as McGuinn falls to his knees, letting out a silent scream. He falls forward, smashing his fists on the ground as we cut to
interior, interrogation room continuous. McGuinn falls back against the glass in shock. He composes himself, then comes back into the room, file in hand.
And that's all I know.
Well, thank you, Bang. That really cleans everything up in unquestionable detail.
File slams down on the table.
No one's going anywhere.
Your Honour, this is out of order. My client's already given me more than enough information to...
Put a sock in it, Sue. You make me feel so blue. I'm about to bust this thing wide open.
As McGuinn opens the file, we cut to...
interior, interrogation room, moments later. Mackay and McSteen are now around the table too. The room's feeling a little crowded.
I didn't take this job because it was easy. I took it because sometimes you have to face ugly truths. And I learned something today. This city is sick.
Why are you speaking like that?
Some things can only be said in English. I didn't want it to come to this. But everyone in this room is now a suspect.
What are you talking about, McGuinn?
Bang's involvement is beyond doubt, but he implicated Bang and Bong. I had no idea who they could be, but by virtue of our cast being so small, really narrows down my options. So let's see who you've got.
Snap onto McSteen.
McSteen's a creepy weirdo in a forensics suit that screams killer. Also, the soles of his shoe coverings are caked with mud, matching the color, taste, and consistency of the crime scene.
We cut down to the soles of the plastic bags over McSteen's shoes, covered in mud.
McCarmy made several offhand comments for her disdain of socks, and was adamant I send Bang down and fast. It was your decision to have McSteen assess the scene, wasn't it, Inspector?
Of course it was. I'm in charge of this dump. You know how long I've been on the force, McGuinn?
No.
Neither do I. How old even am I? It's a mystery to me.
McBride's just too innocent to discount.
What?
And Sue's clearly a very mean lady. Conclusion, Yahtzee.
You're out of your goddamn mind, McGuinn.
Not this time. This time I'm in my goddamn mind.
A lot of wild theories floating about. Why don't you prove it?
I thought you'd never ask.
He holds up the folder that was given to him earlier.
Strap in.
McGuinn rips open the file as we cut to
Exterior, interrogation room continuous. As before, looking into the room, and again, we have only the audio outside the walls. McGuinn accusingly points fingers at different people. Next, he pulls out an evidence whiteboard out of nowhere with everyone's face on and starts drawing and scribbling all over it, tracing wild lines from person to person. Everyone else in the room is becoming more irate. He must be onto something. The tension in the room builds as Mackay starts shouting at McGuinn. Everyone else joins in, but what's this? It looks like they're turning on each other. The room quickly descends into chaos. Mackay storming around, throwing documents in the air. McGuinn defending his whiteboard from attack from Beng and Sue. A fight breaks out between McBride and McSteen. McBride and McSteen stumble out of the room onto the floor, giving a brief reveal of the sound of carnage inside before the door shuts. The two continue to wrestle on the floor. Mackay runs out of the room, followed hot on her heels by McGuinn. He chases after her. They run in circles around the glass interrogation room. In the commotion, Sue stuffs Beng into her bag and sneaks him out. There is nothing Hollywood about this, only mild grunts of effort that punctuate the quiet of the office. McGuinn and Mackay run out of steam. They both break for a drink from the water tank. McSteen and McBride are getting tired as well. They pause and ask for water. McGuinn dishes it out, calm. A new detective, McLeavy, tentatively walks into shot. He has a folder in his hands.
Hey, guys.
Everyone gives McLeavy a hard time.
Can't you see we're
Yeah, no, sorry, I know you're busy, but we just had a tip-off concerning the Vicky Tim case.
They all go quiet. McGuinn snatches the file away from McLeavy. Everyone crowds around to read. We pull up the file and close on McGuinn to see the shock on his face. Realization.
My God. This changes everything.
The group share looks, some understanding the gravity of whatever is in the folder, some looking confused but trying to pretend like they understand. Mackay just looking in the wrong direction. Pull away as the screen appears.
To be continued. Maybe.
Fade to black.
That was great, thank you. Our final script for this evening was written by Lydia Clarke. It's called Paired Up. And Lydia, tell me what brought you to this point and to this script?
Yeah, firstly, thanks for having me. It's really cool to be shortlisted. Yeah, I guess for me, I've always had a tireless love of storytelling, whether it was like as a kid performing sketches with my brothers for our grandparents in the living room while they're trying to like watch the TV around us. And yeah, growing up, I've always been writing short stories, so I chose to study literature with creative writing at degree level at Manchester University. And then from there, it wasn't until my third year that I happened upon like a screenwriting module and just took it on a whim and instantly fell in love with the craft and kind of thought, you know, this form of visual storytelling is the way I want to express myself in my writing. Yeah, then I went on to do a master's in screenwriting, and since graduating a couple of years ago, I externally read for a production company and I've had a couple of my comedy pilots optioned, which is pretty cool. Yeah, in terms of this script, I guess I wanted to write a kind of lighthearted coming of age queer story whereby homophobia wasn't the antagonistic force like I feel it often is with these kind of teenage characters. Yeah, I'm really excited to see it performed.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So our final script for this evening is Paired Up by Lydia Clarke.
Paired Up by Lydia Clarke. Interior biology classroom, day. Eva, 16, would rather be somewhere else, doodles on her textbook. Suddenly, a sheep heart is dumped on her desk by...
I give you my heart, babe.
Eva's boyfriend, Kieran, 16, the type of lad to heckle at a comedy show. He gives his girlfriend a kiss and sits down.
I spoke to Maya earlier. Her house party is defo going ahead next week.
Mrs. Wilcox, 35, desperately hopes her students refer to her as the cool teacher, calls out to her class.
Okay, you lovely lot, listen up.
Chatter dies down.
At the end of today's lesson, I'll read out your final project pairs.
Oh.
You'll have 2 weeks to submit one interesting project, broad as you...
Miss, can I just partner with Eva?
Eva doesn't bother looking up as she shades in her drawing.
Kieran, what's the rule when we want to speak?
Kieran sighs and raises his hands to form a gun finger.
Gun fingers up, exactly. But no, I partnered everyone randomly.
Reading her notes.
So, Kieran, you're with Jason, and Eva, I paired you with Holly.
That catches Eva's attention. She looks over her shoulder. She meets the gaze of a girl with a ridiculous grin on her face. Holly, 16, prefers to eat her sandwich with a fork. Holly has a disability whereby she only has use of one hand. Title card, paired up. Mortified, Eva turns back around. Anyone but her.
Okay, squad. The most important thing about dissection is delicacy.
Kieran stabs his scalpel into the heart. It bulges. Match cut to...
Exterior, school playground, day. Close on Holly, alone on a bench, biting into a jam donut. Nearby, Eva and her friend Maya, 16, stuck up. Watch Holly making her way through the bag of donuts on her lap.
And you've got to do a whole project with her? You do know about the Venus flytrap thing, right?
Kieran probably just made that up.
Before Maya can protest.
So your party, we're still skiving next week to get everything set up?
Exterior, school bus stop, day, later. Eva says bye to her friends as the bus pulls up.
Interior, school bus, minutes later. Eva sits in a window seat playing Candy Crush on her phone. Suddenly, Holly plonks herself in the seat beside her.
I think we should start the project today. I've got lots of ideas.
Today? I guess that's okay.
Great. We can go to my greenhouse.
Eva fakes a smile. Of course, Holly has a greenhouse. After an awkward silence, Holly pulls out a Rubik's Cube from her bag. Other students snigger. Eva sinks into her seat. Deeper into the journey, Eva can't help but sneak glances at the girl next to her. Despite her disability, Holly is making that Rubik's Cube her bitch. And Eva's in a subtle awe. Interior, day, Holly's greenhouse. A botanist's dream. Light streams through the windows, landing on the array of plants. Then, Eva spots the Venus flytrap.
So, I take it your project ideas are all to do with plants?
Of course. Oh, is that okay?
Eva manages a nod. It's going to be a long afternoon.
Exterior, school corridor, day. Eva and Kieran walk hand in hand to class.
How was yesterday then? Pick up any exotic diseases from her plants? Or, more likely, from her?
It was dull. But I guess at least she seems to have a passion for something.
Yeah, if by passion you mean getting horny over sunflowers.
Eva stops walking and rolls her eyes.
Okay, you did not see her getting off with a Venus flytrap after biology in year 8.
Doesn't mean she didn't want to.
Eva starts walking again. Kieran catches up.
I'm just saying, be careful. When you're nice to the weird kid, even once, they never leave you alone.
Interior, Holly's greenhouse, day. Eva watches Holly studying a plant's leaves through a microscope. She can't help but stare at Holly's disabled arm. Holly speaks without looking up.
It was a crocodile.
Huh?
We went to Australia when I was 3. I accidentally wandered off on this river walk and...
Holding up disabled arm.
Well, yeah.
Eva's completely stunned. Holly puts her out of her misery.
Just kidding. No crazy origin story. I was just born like this.
Eva can't believe she fell for it. Neither can Holly. The girls crack up into full-blown belly laughs. Montage sequence in the greenhouse over the next few days. The girls share headphones as they work on their project. Holly pulls 2 tomatoes from the plant. The girls bite into the fruit, laughing as juice splatters down their tops. Eva dares Holly to touch one of the exotic cacti. Holly tips the watering can over Eva. A water fight ensues. End sequence. Later on, a drenched Eva sits on the counter smiling at a photograph of a young Holly holding a first prize cucumber. Holly enters with 2 mugs of tea and a towel. She sets the mugs and carefully drapes the towel over a grateful Eva. Eva speaks about the photograph.
This is cute.
Oh, wow. I raised that cucumber like it was my firstborn child.
Now talking about the water fight.
My bad. I didn't mean to drown you. You've probably got plans tonight.
I don't have plans.
Eva bites her lip, a bit embarrassed by how eager she sounds.
Oh, right. Good.
The girls lock eyes, tension growing. Holly approaches Eva. The girls are practically face to face as Eva's heart pounds. Holly delicately wipes the smudged mascara from Eva's face.
Your makeup was running.
But the girls still haven't moved apart. Eva's eyes flicker to Holly's lips.
Thanks.
Holly's hand lingers on Eva's face. They both lean in closer.
I've got a boyfriend.
I know. I don't like him.
Eva nervously stares back at Holly, but Holly simply grins.
But you're my friend.
Holly backs away, the tension settling down.
So I won't judge your taste in men.
Reaching for laptop.
If you promise not to judge the films on my Netflix watch list.
Eva smiles, relieved. She holds out her pinky finger for Holly, who warmly accepts her pinky promise.
Interior, cafeteria, day. Eva, Kieran and Maya eat lunch at their usual table.
Babe, what's with you ditching me again last night?
Sorry, I just want to get this project over with, you know?
Yeah, guess I can't blame you for that. So, has she asked you for a threesome yet with a sunflower?
Eva playfully chucks her rubbish at Kieran. Behind them, we see Holly gleefully approaching with a bag of donuts.
I mean, she has one working hand. Why doesn't she use that instead of molesting innocent vegetation?
Kieran laughs, then slips one hand under his sleeve. Holly is unnoticed as she stops walking. She can see and hear everything.
My name's Holly, and I like slipping the tongue to Venus flytraps.
Maya erupts into laughter. Holly's eyes begin to water. She looks desperately to Eva, who simply looks down. Devastated, Holly dumps the donuts in the bin and leaves.
I feel a tingle in my pants when I walk past an allotment.
Eva jolts her head up to look Kieran in the eyes.
Stop it.
What?
Eva yanks his hand out of his sleeve. Maya stops laughing.
All right, chill. Just a bit of banter.
It's a joke, Eva.
Eva slams the lid on her lunchbox and stands up.
It's not though, is it? She's a person, not a punchline.
Eva walks away, leaving Kieran and Maya dumbfounded. Interior, Holly's greenhouse, day. Eva bursts in and begins rummaging through her bag. She still hasn't looked up when she says,
Must have just missed you on the bus, but I've made some sketches.
Holly off screen.
I'll finish the project on my own.
Eva looks up to see Holly calmly sitting at her desk, surrounded by soil, torn plants, and smashed pots.
What happened?
Eva spots their project among the wreckage. It's broken.
I think somebody got in here.
But Eva notices how dirty Holly's disabled arm is.
It's our presentation tomorrow. What are we going to do?
I'll come up with something.
Eva lifts up her foot, a Venus flytrap, torn from its roots. Prelap, the sound of students' muffled laughter.
Interior, biology classroom, day. Eva and Holly stand at the front of the class. Behind, their presentation slide reads, Our findings, not quite found yet.
Girls, the whole point of today was to showcase your work so far. You didn't even bring anything in and...
We didn't want to give spoilers.
The class are in hysterics now. Eva's hating every second. Later, Eva and Holly have been told to wait behind.
What you girls hand in at the end of the week had better be excellent, because that there...
She gestures at the screen.
...was just, well, not very lit.
Unimpressed, Mrs. Wilcox leaves the room. Eva continues to furiously pack her bag. Holly sits on the desk.
Whatever. Kind of fun getting told off, isn't it? I see why.
What the hell was all of that?
What do you mean?
You're sabotaging me. You made us look like idiots in front of...
Doesn't feel great to be made fun of, does it? Welcome to my life.
Enough with this whole victim narrative already. You bring most of it on by yourself.
Holly laughs in disbelief.
Smashing up our project on the week it's due, and don't deny it.
I just wanted to give you and your friends another thing to laugh at.
Maybe people wouldn't make fun of you if you didn't give them so many reasons to.
Eva storms out of the door, Holly calling after her. Off screen.
Maybe you shouldn't care so much about what other people think of you, Eva.
Exterior, school bus stop, day. Eva walks past the bus stop with Maya. She pretends she doesn't see Holly standing alone.
Interior, cafeteria, day. Eva's vacant as her friends discuss the upcoming party.
Tomorrow afternoon, we bail at lunch and head to town. You still good to bring your fake ID, babe?
Eva's barely listening. Kieran nudges her.
Interior, biology classroom, day. Eva doodles a crocodile in her biology book. Mrs. Wilcox off screen.
I'm super excited to see what you'll come up with tomorrow.
Eva turns around and catches sight of Holly with her arms folded and her head resting on the desk.
Interior, cafeteria, day. Eva picks at her lunch. She's lost her appetite. Fed up, she walks back to the bin. She's about to dump her sandwich when she notices the bag of donuts already in there. Maya off screen.
Adam said he's good to DJ tonight.
She pulls out the abandoned treats and dangles the bag in front of her face. They could only belong to one person. She must have been here and heard everything, clear as day. Kieran off screen.
Yeah, tell him none of his crappy techno.
Suddenly, the bag of donuts is snatched from Eva's grip.
Oh, you brought donuts! Nice. Oh, also, grab your bag. We're going to town now.
I can't go with you.
Kieran squints at her with nasty eyes.
If you're ditching us for that weirdo again, then you can just forget about coming tonight.
Eva looks to Maya. She avoids her eyes. Fine. Eva barges Kieran's shoulder as she storms to the exit.
Interior, Holly's greenhouse, day. Close up on Eva, crouched down, holding the torn Venus flytrap. She shakes her head and stuffs the dead plant into a bin bag. We pan out as Eva stands up. We see that she's surrounded by the mess that Holly never cleaned up. Eva picks up the broom from beside her and begins sweeping.
Exterior, school bus stop, day. Eva waits for the bus as surrounding students discuss last night's crazy party. Eva begins untangling her headphones. Suddenly, Kieran's standing in front of her.
I hope it was all worth it.
It was just a party. I'm sure there'll be many more.
Maybe. But you won't be invited. You're not my girlfriend anymore.
Eva continues to untangle her headphones.
That's honestly fine.
Kieran hits Eva's headphones out of her hand into a puddle. Students gather around, anticipating a big argument.
Seriously?
Eva drops down to fish them out. Then, the reflection of Holly's outstretched arm shimmers on the puddle's surface. Eva looks up. Her eyes meet Holly's. The world slows down. Eva accepts Holly's arm and is helped up from the ground. A bitter Kieran scoffs and walks away. The girls awkwardly face one another, the confused crowd watching on.
Thanks. Look, I'm
I
sorry.
know what you did.
Eva doesn't even care about all the eyes on her.
You go.
I bumped into Mrs. Wilcox earlier. She said she loved our project, so I went to the biology classroom to see what she was on about, and there it was. You did a whole project by yourself.
Eva can't tell whether Holly's pleased.
Well, I tried to rescue the old one, but I couldn't just...
Eva pauses. That same tension in the air that rattled her the night of their water fight. But this time, she gives in. Eva closes the space between them and kisses Holly. Overcoming the initial surprise, Holly relaxes into the kiss. After a few seconds, they slowly break apart. The bus pulls up. The crowd of bored students disperse.
Think I prefer the new one.
The pair walk hand in hand onto the bus. Dissolve to
Interior, biology classroom, day. The new project sits on the desk, a hand grafted from torn plant roots and leaves. The paper sign reads, The Green Fist by Holly and Eva. Fade to black.
So I would like to bring our judges back in. So Ben and Nicky and Col, if we can have you back again. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you very much. So behind the scenes, the judges have decided who is going to speak about which script. And Nicky, we're going to start with you, I think, and choose your weapon.
Yes. Well, thank you so much to Gabriela and all the writers and all of the amazing performers this evening. You all did such a brilliant job, and it was super fun to have you in our homes performing these brilliant scripts. So thanks so much. And I thought that Choose Your Weapon was a really fantastic creative use of magical realism. It sort of did what us judges were kind of talking about earlier, where it kind of captured your imagination from the first page in a way that I haven't seen before and didn't expect. So it kind of, used magical realism to explore kind of a serious and recognizable theme of postpartum anxiety and depression. But I thought it was also kind of really relatable, especially in these lockdown times, about how we all live inside our heads so much, and the sort of fear of the unknown and of going out and of what we might face. I thought that was all really recognizable and really interesting, meaty themes to explore. I loved the idea that you can take control of your narrative. And so, of course, you can kind of forecast all of these bad things that might happen to you and how you could be the victim, but you can also have the power to flip that on its head and imagine how you can overcome them and be the hero of your own story. So I thought it was like kind of a really fun genre bending script, one that I'd love to see, and we all really enjoyed reading. And I thought my only kind of little note on the script was, I thought that Gabriela did such a brilliant job of bringing home the idea of the support network and the people around you, and how you can change your ending and change your story. That some of the dialogue at the end where someone says, "Oh, that's what your support network's for. We're all here for you." I felt like that dialogue maybe wasn't entirely necessary, because she'd done such a brilliant job of showing us that. So it was maybe not necessary, but that's kind of my only negative. I thought that it was fantastic. Well done.
Brilliant, thank you, Nicky. So the next script was Road to Hell, and Col, I think you're going to speak to that.
I am indeed. So we like the concept of this, and it was a familiar situation. I think we've all been stuck in traffic. So certainly, I could relate to that. Good use of the short format, constrained space, two-hander, and yet within that there was clearly a beginning, a middle, and an end. We enjoyed the gradual reveal because it feels like it's going to be a story about traffic jam, but it's a much bigger story than that. Especially the opening up of the hit and run and the history, and then you're kind of like, oh, okay. And then I mentioned this in the unbroadcast bit, but I like a story that takes you to somewhere at the end. So I think that was a perfect I Spy with My Little Eye, something beginning with H was a superb way for the script to end. So well done.
Brilliant. Thank you, Col. And Ben, you've got the next two, both Baby Crispr and Odd Socks.
Oh, okay, yeah, so sure. I'll start with Theo's script, Odd Socks, which I think principally we really liked because it was funny. And if you're writing something funny, the most important thing is to be funny, which might sound like an obvious thing to say, but I've read a lot of comedy scripts that aren't particularly funny. And this was kind of just really snappy and unusual and fun. And it reminded me a bit of like Michel Gondry meets Sooty and Sweep with a touch of CSI. You know, I like the sort of fact that it was a real mashup of like tropes and different film and TV genres. And I think also it's well timed. I mean, like sock puppets are funny and they are weirdly human, perhaps more human than the characters in the rest of the script that are being satirized. And we just need a bit of that sort of joyfulness and fun and sort of a daft kind of situation now in our lives. It's so easy to forget that life is funny and stupid. And I think there are so many things to recommend it. I think visually it's really interesting. And Theo, it was great to get introduced to a couple of your puppets who are sort of clearly full of character and love. And I'm kind of really interested to see how it will work on screen and whether the actors are, you know, there with the sock puppets or whether they're not part of the shot. And so there was lots of sort of stuff just to kind of keep you intrigued. And obviously the kind of the cross-cutting, you know, it's a procedural farce. And I think, you know, Brits do farce really well. And you kind of sitting in a fine tradition of satire and farce at the same time. So there was loads to recommend it. And I think the last thing I want to say about it is just, it's full of really sort of disarmingly brilliant one-liners that kind of just sort of don't take you by surprise because they keep coming, but there's loads of really funny ones. And I think, you know, one of the ones we really enjoyed was like, I'm not out of my mind, I'm in my mind. You know, this is a short, we haven't got much time. And I just thought, just sort of the kind of slightly like weirder touches, you know, it's called Odd Socks, stuff like, you know, for the tape, the repetition, the running gags, I just thought were really well handled. And sort of coming from radio where that's kind of stock in trade, you could just really see the form being used with great aplomb. So yeah, I just think incredibly enjoyable, really interested to see how it plays out as a kind of lo-fi meets hi-fi mashup. And yeah, super well done. I mean, you know, you're really funny and that's what counts.
So do you want to go?
Oh yeah, I'll go straight into the next one. Yeah, of course. And Baby Crispr, I really enjoyed as well, Maureen. It was fantastic. I really got a kind of, you know, I think in drama scripts, and especially in shorts, you kind of want to feel this atmosphere, this unified theory of space and kind of time, and be able to kind of really enter into the story very quickly. And I think as soon as you kind of enter into this with the kind of slightly strange van with the stalk on the side, you're already beginning to wonder, you know, what kind of dystopian land you're entering into. I think the script on the page was really, really tight. It was very well written. I could tell immediately that it was like from a writer who knew what they were doing, who used language well and sparingly, and could create tension. One of the things I was saying to Col and Nicky about this script in particular was that I really like the way that you held back us kind of seeing the baby in terms of the script on the page, and it made me want to kind of look over the crib and go, well, what the hell is wrong with this baby? And of course nothing is wrong with it. And you know, that kind of is, it felt like in the tradition of Irvine Welsh, J.G. Ballard, a bit of Alex Garland in there for me as well, all of which is extremely complimentary because they're all brilliant writers. And one of the things that Cole said, which I'll reiterate here, is that, you know, the theme is incredibly relevant for the convenience generation. You can have anything you want, how you want, when you want, and that kind of dehumanizes you. And then they find their humanity, the characters who are well drawn, and I like the interplay between them through this imperfect, perfect baby. And so I think it has a real edge. It has something to say, and also it's funny. There are two really standout lines. This was meant to be the best day of my life. Now it's like our fucking wedding. I think that speaks to all of us that are married. and you know, and the other one is they were pewter. I mean, you know, there's a really great balance in this script. And I think the reveal is handled really well. And the fact that it turns on its humanity, you know, that's how that script brings you to its conclusion. These characters find their humanity around this kind of foundling babe. And then, of course, there's a knock on the door. And the Hatcher is a great name for a villain. You know, and I can see her living beyond this shore. So that's all I'll say about it. But again, like a really, really tight, decent, impressive piece of writing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ben. And finally, Nicky, you were going to talk about Paired Up.
Yes. So we were all hugely impressed by Paired Up. It felt like it was the most kind of traditional sort of narrative, I think, in that you really effectively set up a character who was kind of torn between two worlds and who was going to be pushed towards the world that was towards, you know, well, out of her comfort zone, and into a place where she was going to be, you know, have to ask herself some difficult questions and explore herself more deeply. And I felt like, you know, you set that up really well. And then with the sort of relationship between the two young women, there was, you know, that was an interesting twist. And although it felt like overall that it went to where I was expecting, but not in a bad way, not in a sort of in a way that I was bored, in a way that you kind of you set up that the challenge and the conflict for your central character, and I knew that she was going to have to find a way to overcome it and learn something from that process. So I thought the characterization and the dialogue was really strong, really authentic, and also really, you know, found it really interesting in terms of the themes that you'd chosen to explore. I liked the way that you said you were interested to make a story where homophobia wasn't, where it was a gay storyline, but homophobia wasn't the antagonistic force. And I think you did that really successfully. But of course, you know, the script still manages to tackle themes of discrimination and othering, and I felt that it did that really sensitively and in a really interesting way. And I also just wanted to mention a little special commendation for, I thought that the young actor who played Holly, who was also Emily in Choose Your Weapon, was really great. And I, in particular, noticed her performance. I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, it's hard to detect read.
Yeah, congratulations, Lydia. So it was a great, really great script.
Brilliant, thank you, Nicky. So now comes the exciting part, nearly, when we're going to announce the winner. But before we announce the winner of the £5,000 cash, £1,000 worth of hire kit, and this, I think you can see it very badly. Yes, too reflective. It's a beautiful glass award. And Cole, yes, thank you, Cole. This badge you can only get if you work for IMDb or you win an IMDb award. So It's very, very special. But before we get to that winner, we do have an audience winner, which is different to the winner that the judges have selected. So I am going to announce who our audience have voted for. So this is, I'm sorry, not the person that's going to win the money and the award, but it's the person who wins the acclaim from the audience. And we have all of our finalists sitting in this Zoom with us, so we're going to invite in the audience award winner, who is Lydia, the writer of Paired Up. So congratulations, Lydia. If you can switch on. Here she is.
Yo, hi. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Hello. Thank you so much. Thanks to my mates for voting.
They did very well. You've got a lot of friends. Well done, Lydia. But also the judges really did love your script.
It's great. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much for submitting. And also do keep writing. So we have lots of people in the IMDb Script to Screen Award who are finalists. We've had some who've been finalists 3 times and then they've won. Yeah. They've won. So people do pop up. So I hope that we see you again later on.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. So we're going to bump you out again of the Zoom. So if you can, yeah. And I'm going to hand over to you, Cole, to announce who has won the 2021 IMDb Script to Screen Award.
All right, okay. Drum roll, please. So on behalf of the judges, we are pleased to announce that the winner is Choose Your Weapon by Gabriela Staniszewska. Gabriela, come on.
Hang on.
She's there. She's there.
Hey!
What does this happen? We have to be super quiet. Guys, we actually shot the film like this last 2 weekends and we need a finishing fund to do all the ADR for all the stunts because they're so awesome, and that is just like so super cool. And I literally, your note, Nicky, was like exactly the things we changed. So wow, it's just like, honestly, we got professional stunt people in and they beat the girls beat the professional stunt ladies and they beat the crap out of the guys, and it was just there's a severed penis and it's downstairs in my house. It's amazing.
Wow, amazing.
Oh my god, thank you. And I can't believe I get the IMDb badge, genuinely. That is like, my friend Ty, who runs the Bristol Bad Film Club, is going to be like so jealous. I think you know him. He's going to be so jealous.
Well, he needs to write his own script and
He's
win.
actually, he was in Choose a Weapon. I made him jump a really big fence and he hit it and fell over. It was really funny. It was really Thank you, all of you, so much. That's like incredible, especially coming from like people who I really, really respect in the industry so much. Like, I've been dancing around Holly for so long from the Watershed, and Col, I can't believe we've never met, but I used to work in projection at the Watershed. So for me,
oh wow, I'm a massive admirer of your work.
yeah. I was the girl that actually worked in projection. If you've heard, you might have heard of me. I was the girl that worked in projection at the Watershed. And Ben, thank you so much. This is so incredible to get this from you guys as well, and Nicky especially. I mean, like, to come from somebody that made something so amazing as Prevenge. I am just like so super honored to even have read the script, which is super cool. But it'd be really super cool for you guys to actually watch the finished product when it's finished. So that's like, I can't believe it. I can't scream either because she's asleep. That's amazing. I don't.
Congratulations, very, very, very well deserved. And I actually can't take credit for Prevenge because I just helped out on that one a little bit on the side. But this is a film that we're all really, really excited to see. So
yeah,
it's great that you kind of wrote it and that you're cracking on with making it. That's what we love to hear.
Honestly, like, it's just, when I'm sure you all know that the only, I don't know, for me anyway, the only real magic left in cinema is Foley artists and stunt men, you know what I mean, or stunt people, stunt persons, and it's just when you see their work like properly, it was just incredible. Like, it was just so good to have professional stunt people on board, and they were just so good. And the running, they're so good at running, and it's just, yeah, it's gonna look really good. And for me, the thing, I think I mentioned this to Holly, is that, so it was all family and friends that helped out doing this. Like, my drama teacher from Bristol Old Vic Youth Theatre was grandma. My best friend, one of my best friends who I've known since I was 2, was Emily. All this, like, loads of people from different aspects of my life. This was a real labor of love, this script, and bringing the film to fruition. And my friend Danielle was actually, she was doing marshalling, so wearing a high vis and stopping people kind of coming in. And a lady asked what we were doing, and Danielle said, oh, it's a film about postnatal anxiety. And the lady said, oh, that's so important. When I was pregnant, after I had my baby, I had such bad postnatal depression, anxiety, I was sectioned, and that was in the 70s. So it's kind of so incredibly important to talk about this, because when I had postnatal anxiety, everybody said, are you sad? You know, I'm not sad, no, I'm terrified, I'm not sad. Everybody was very focused on just the sadness and the depression. And it's like, no, I'm just like completely freaked out about the whole thing. And there's so many different aspects of it, of parenthood for both. Like, that's what, it's not just a mother's story, it's the father's story as well. It's like the mother's story, it's the friends, everybody in that support network kind of thing, that it's their story. So for me, it's like, I don't know why parenthood hasn't been mined more for. It's definitely ripe for the plucking story wise. I mean, there's a lot in there, like, you know, to really hash out, especially with action movies. I mean, more of those crossovers, please. So yeah, thank you. Ridiculous.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations, Gabriela. So I'm just going to say that if anybody watching wants to enter this competition next year's submissions are open. If you go to filmbath.org.uk, then you could submit your script and you could be Gabriela next year. And I'd like to say a massive thank you to everybody that submitted their scripts, to our readers of the scripts, to tonight's finalists, obviously to our amazing judges. If we were in a room, there would be massive rounds of applause for you. So thank you for coming. Thank you for judging the scripts. And thank you to the actors and to Mark Langley, who was their director. And obviously thanks to IMDb and to Visual Impact. And thank you all for watching, and good night.
Good night.